Today, I work with a man who's struggling to get back to his fighting weight. With a hectic work schedule and a first child on the way, he has no time to lose. I'm Ryan Masters of Spartan Doctore, and this is House of Hercules.
We're going to take a look today and kind of see, what you've got here in the kitchen, and then also just kind of talk about what your training goals are, what you're looking to accomplish, and how we can best set you up for success with that.
All right, sounds good.
So you were in the Marines,
yes.
Right? So thank you for your service. And that was, for you, was that like the peak of your physique and your health and fitness?
Yeah, I'd say that probably was the peak of my physical fitness.
Right.
And I've kind of backslid for a while there, and then regained myself, reeled myself back in, brought myself back down to a good fighting weight, and then kind of let myself go again, and it's just been a big yo-yo back and forth.
Right. And do you notice, like, when you were in fighting weight and even back in the Marines, like, was there a difference in just how you kind of went through the day and how you felt as far as confidence and like taking on?
I'd say I definitely had more confidence at that point. Held my shoulders back a little higher, and definitely felt better about myself and the clothes that I wear.
Right. And then what about on the flip side, like when we're ballooning up, like you were saying, telling me earlier, like almost like close to 300, not quite, but that was kind of like the stopping point for you. Like when that's going on, like what are you thinking at that point? Is it kind of like,
I just don't feel comfortable in my own body, and I don't want to be in any pictures or anything, and,
Right.
and then I'm thinking about like what kind of clothes show off, more of my stomach or whatnot,
Right.
and I'm definitely making these conscious decisions that I don't want to have to be thinking about.
right? Yeah, it's like you're spending energy on, it's kind of like diluting energy on things that take you away from what you want to be focusing on.
This is a common problem that a lot of guys struggle with, and it really feeds into doubt and lack of confidence because they know deep down they haven't necessarily been putting their best investment into themselves from a health and fitness standpoint. Now, the flip side is you don't have to wait until you're in like excellent physical shape to have these confident feelings. Instead, all you have to do is begin the process, begin the journey of improving yourself, and you will immediately feel the benefits of someone who is investing in himself to have a bigger impact on the world.
I find it's very helpful and really important to write things down and kind of think on paper, just to flush it out, because especially with fitness, there's just so much information and so many, like we get so many grand ideas of I'm going to do all these things, I'm going to eat this new food and do all blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, you have a list of 5,000, which doesn't feel like a lot in our brain. But when you see it, you're just like, holy cow, that's a lot. I can't do all of that. So that's good. That forces us to be like, okay, well, let's be realistic and what can I accomplish here, and be strategic about it. So, well, first, is what is we kind of danced around a little bit, but what is success for you? Like, what is kind of the current goal? Like, what are we trying to get at? What is going to make you happy in the morning, from a fitness standpoint, so that we know the destination we're shooting for?
I'd like to feel comfortable in my own skin.
Okay.
So I'd like to lose a lot of the fat and also increase some more muscle mass.
Right. Okay.
Which is pretty much the main goal for most people.
Yeah, no, but I mean, hey, it's a good one to have, but it's it's basically to get to, I think what you kind of coined, kind of like fighting weight, where it's more muscle than fat on your physique, and also to the point where you're not having to think about what clothes kind of hide stuff best, But you can put it on and know that you look good in it and rock it and keep going forward. All right, so that's good to know. So there's three areas that we look at, and this I call is the Spartan Triad. So we have training, food intake, and recovery. And with first of all, it's like the mindset that we have to adapt is like, this is for the rest of your life. Like there is no, like, this is not a 90-day, like that's all crap. Like this is, you're making, you have to commit to yourself and to your family and to your future, your future child. Like, this is a lifestyle change. So it's not a we're going to change a million things right now and you're going to be on this new path.
Big stumbling block for a lot of guys is they try to fight all the battles at one time. Just because you have multiple battles to fight in terms of training, food intake, recovery, doesn't mean you should fight them all at the same time. Think of it just like a highway. Okay, a highway can hold a certain number of cars as they move through it. But that doesn't mean all of the cars that can fit on the highway should be on there, because what happens when you have 100% capacity on the highway of cars, everything grinds to a halt. So you've got gridlock. So 100% capacity isn't what we're striving for. What we're striving for is maximum effectiveness, and that means being strategic about what battles that you focus on and invest in and win before moving on and jumping to the next one.
So what we're going to do is look at kind of the different areas and see, okay, where can we invest? And well, I like to view it as it's a war. You know, there's a war on your health, a war on, you know, just in general. And instead of trying to win the war, we need to look at the different battles inside that war and strategically win those battles. And understand that, you know what, like, some battles we're going to lose, but that's okay. Like, as long as we win more battles than we lose, that helps keep, and that keeps momentum going for you and keeps you invested. So this is kind of like our battle map, if we will. Like, we start to take a look and see, okay, there's a lot of areas we can attack and invest and turn around, but it's like, which ones, A, are going to give you the initial most benefit out of the gate, and then also B, you're already in a position strategically to accomplish, you know, based on just resources and motivation and whatnot. So training is, you know, we need to have the baseline of you're going to the gym at least 3 times a week, doing compound lifts. Ideally, you know, you can follow the Spartan Rises program or any you know, starting strength 5x5, any kind of training program like that. But that's kind of the core starting point. So where are you in that sense?
I'd say I average between 3 and 5 days a week.
Okay, consistent, like doing that now.
Pretty consistent.
Okay, so we've got that done. And then in the gym, there's a very important concept that I think you've already gone through and seen, and I have plenty of videos on it that you can rewatch, but called the strength ladder, the Spartan Strength ladder, which is how, you know, we're not going to the gym just to toss weights around and do nothing. Like, we're going in to become stronger, and what gets measured gets managed. So if you're not recording it, like, it doesn't count. That's basically why those reps don't count. If you didn't record your workout, like, it doesn't count as a workout. That's a good way to view it. Okay. So are you tracking?
I have not been.
Okay, so that's going to be a immediate to do, because 2 things. Number 1, especially at your stage now, it's like, you know, you can work out for a month and you're not necessarily going to see huge physical changes as far as seeing them, but you'll feel more energetic, and more importantly, what you will see when you're tracking the strength is you'll see, wow, I used to bench 150, now I'm benching 200. And
that's one thing that's really good, because one of the things that I've always struggled with is that I need results.
Right.
You know, if I don't see results, I'm not going to stick with it.
It's going to work for free.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, there are a lot of guys that's the same thing. And the other thing is, like, there's just so much, like, crap in the fitness space. Like, everyone's like, you know, 90 days, you turn around, it's a new you, and you see all these before and after testimonials, which most of them are not even true. But it just puts in your mind, like, these expectations where it's like, man, like, I don't even look anywhere near like that yet, and I've been busting my butt, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever felt that way.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably kind of frustrating, and just like, you know, what am I missing? What am I not doing right? And what I found is a lot of it is, you know, it's not sexy, but it's simple and it's easy. You know, it's easy to do, but at the same time, it's easy not to do. I can't tell you how many guys don't track their weight when they go to the gym. And that's just one of those things that it's going to build motivation and momentum for you to see you getting stronger and stronger. Do you have a scale in the bathroom?
I do.
Okay. Do you weigh yourself in the morning?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because with that, you know, you want to weigh yourself Monday morning, Sunday morning, one of those 2 days every week. Not as a, like, motivation, but just to see where you're at. Just that's your, like, battlefield intelligence to know where things are on the ground.
Do you think I could be weighing myself too frequently?
Yeah, you know, if you weigh yourself on Sunday and it's, like, way off versus the last week, like, I'll weigh myself again Monday morning, because sometimes just whatever that happens. But I wouldn't, like, don't weigh yourself every day. You know, you don't need to do that. That's an easy way to kind of get you obsessed and focused on the wrong stuff. All right, so that's kind of the basics. You know, just as far as, like, the high level battles that we want to pay attention to for training. It sounds like for 2 out of 3, you've got them done. The biggest one, and actually, but the most important one is the strength ladder. So that's going to be on the to-do list for you. Now we'll jump over to food, the next area, which is food intake. And this is the most challenging area. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's why I always encourage you to focus on the training first and get that squared away, because that's going to build your momentum. So you win those battles, you get more troops to go fight the bigger battles, which are in the food intake realm. So where are you right now as far as with what you're eating, how you're eating? Like, is it kind of sporadic, or?
I'd say it's somewhat sporadic with a little bit of structure to it.
Okay.
So I try and eat clean for the most part, and I usually cook a lot of my foods as well, just because I don't like spending a lot of money either.
Right.
But then I also have been eating out a decent amount, with the wife being, nauseous and whatnot constantly, and not wanting to smell things. Exactly. But yeah, so, it's been kind of a challenge. And then, usually during the work week, it's pretty easy to handle, get a handle of, because it's nice and structured. But then when the weekend comes around, that's when it kind of, exactly.
So what is kind of like, run me through a day, last week where you ate some food, kind of what were you eating?
I'd say let's say every other day I'd probably start out with like a protein shake or something with some spinach and mixed berries and some other fruit juice. Well, not fruit juice, but vegetable juice.
Okay.
And then maybe a couple hours later I'll have another meal, and that'll usually be like some eggs.
Nice.
And then lunchtime, it's usually some kind of protein with some vegetables. I don't like the taste of vegetables, but I eat them because I need to.
Okay.
And then try and go for afternoon snack, probably maybe some yogurt or something like that.
Okay.
And then dinner time, it's usually kind of see what we have around and try and make something work. See if we can thaw something in time.
Right.
Because we usually don't have something prepared for that, which it probably should be doing.
Right.
And then that's about it.
Okay. And how do you feel energy-wise? I mean, it sounds like that structure sounds pretty good. I mean, I like that you're breaking it out. Your meals kind of eating meals throughout the day. That kind of helps you keep your blood sugar consistent and avoid wanting hunger pangs and wanting to just grab what's in front of you, eating that. So that's good.
The other thing that I find is that sometimes when I'm eating more clean, when I'm eating better the way that I probably should, I feel like I don't have enough food. Like I just need to keep eating. Like I have a pretty decent portion, and then I eat that, and then maybe about hour later, I'm like, man,
Still pretty hungry.
I think I could eat some more. Yeah.
Now, did you at any point? I know in the Marines, I don't think they don't make you do this, but after, have you ever counted your calories like consistently for say like a week?
I have for a while, and not consistently lately. But back when I was, dropping down from the brink of 300, coming back down, yes, I was counting my calories pretty consistently.
Okay.
And I think that was effective, but I'm not sure that my goals were set appropriately.
So, yeah, I mean, with that, it's like helpful to find where your body is as far as how many calories, because like the hunger thing is like, okay, are you getting enough calories or not? We don't know the answer to that question. But counting calories is more, that's a battle to fight kind of later on. Like I think there's some other stuff that we can look at. Now, what about water intake?
I usually intake a pretty decent amount. I have a 40-ounce hydro flask that I usually use.
Okay.
And I usually at least get through one of those probably before lunch, and then after that, then maybe another one probably follows in throughout the day. So maybe about 80 ounces of water.
80 ounces a day. Okay. So that's not bad. I like the staple. I like is a gallon a day. Okay. Focusing and winning that battle like sets so many other ones up for success for you, because it's gonna stop you drinking other diet sodas or other stuff, which you may not even drink now, but it's just going to cut that out and have it. And the first thing, this will be, this is really pertinent for you, like the first thing our body stops doing, or one of the first things it stops doing when we're dehydrated, is it stops burning fat, because it's like that's non-essential. That's like a non-essential activity. So when the body thinks, and dehydrated doesn't mean, oh, I'm thirsty. like even at like 2 or 3% dehydration, it will start shutting that stuff down. So that's why a gallon is like, may seem a lot. I mean, don't drink it all at one time, but you drink it throughout the day, and that will help keep your metabolism up and keep your body kind of working to burn that fat off, which is kind of an important goal for you right now.
All right.
But with food intake, it's all about. So it's like, oh, what diet? Like I think you were asking me in the email where we connected about. You hear so many different things like diet plans, paleo, vegan, Atkins, whatever, and it's not about which diet works. The reason any of them work, I believe, is not because of what they contain, but it forces you to pay attention to what you're eating, and gives you the awareness of what's going into your body. And also it forces a little bit of planning, because if it's like paleo, okay, I can only have this stuff around the house, or Atkins, I can only do this. So we don't need to do any one of those particular diets. We just need to take the concepts of planning and awareness of what we're eating and bring those over to your custom food intake, and use that for you to get better on the food intake side. All right, so let's see what we got in here. Now, you didn't clean this out because you...
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right, so... Okay, so we've got... I love... Is that from Costco, the rotisserie chicken?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the best, man. Okay, so the soda's in there. I'm assuming that's not for you.
That's correct.
Okay, that's for the wife. All right.
Got to get control of that nose.
Yes, and we've got cream cheese, okay. Vegetables, bread, so eggs, like you're saying, okay. So do you make hard-boiled eggs for that?
Yeah, usually do that as well.
Okay.
Try and do that as maybe a little snack, in the afternoon or something like that.
Right.
And we have some chili that we made. Yeah.
Right. Well, so nothing like super alarming here. The only thing I would say is, obviously with your wife being pregnant, it's like she needs to get the food that she needs to get. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you don't want to have all this stuff, like these nice sodas that are calling to you, like, when you're thirsty. So we want to try and hot gate this a little bit if we can, to where maybe one shelf is your shelf, and that's just where your food goes. And that will kind of, that way it's like that's the fly zone. All the others is no fly zone.
A hot gate is a concept I teach in a Spartan Rises, which is how we can structure our environment to help support our training goals. See, a lot of guys make the mistake of trying to use their willpower, and your willpower is a finite resource. You only have so much. So you can't be adding all kinds of new things to your life if you're just trying to do it by willpower alone. Instead, change your environment, like we mentioned here with the fridge, so that you're setting it up so it requires less willpower for you to achieve your goals.
That'd be this pantry over here.
Okay. All right. And there's no other pantries where there's stuff hidden or anything. Okay. So, all right, so we've got, you got this from Costco too.
Love Costco.
Yeah, Costco is the best. So, and I've got some things for you that you can get from there that will help.
What do you think about those Kodiak cakes?
I think they're good. I mean, like, you can even, because I have it, I don't make it very often because for me, time is like everything. So I just don't have the time or make the time to cook. But if you mix in like a scoop of whey protein, do you have any protein?
I do.
You can mix in a scoop of protein in there to make them extra proteiny. Oh yeah, there we go. Also from Costco. Very nice. But yeah, no, I think those are good. Good way, and obviously not limited to breakfast. I mean, you can eat those. I wouldn't eat them right before bed, but other than that, you're good to go. And so we've got some bars here. Now, I know you said you travel, so
I do.
Do you use a lot of bars for when you're traveling?
I don't.
Okay.
It's probably something I should do.
Yeah.
Think so?
Yep. Because I know you mentioned like not having access to a fridge for a certain period of time when you're traveling. Right. So it's like, okay, cold stuff's out. So it's like, what warm, so nuts is a good mix, like especially Costco, they've got some of those mixed nuts. So having those just for energy and protein. And then I like the Kind bars, but you can do whatever research into the bar. Like, you don't need me for that. Just Google whatever bars you're looking at, some type of protein bar. Because the main thing is just when you're on the road, is being able to get a consistent source of protein, and also having something like with you at all times, because it's very tempting when you're walking through the airport or whatever, as I'm sure you know, to be like, Cinnabon is calling your name, right? So like you want to set yourself up for success with that by having those.
And then we got the top shelf.
Yeah, for the tall guys, which is not me.
Got the goldfish. And then see, this is kind of like what we were talking about in the refrigerator. Got the marshmallows hidden up here.
Oh, yeah.
So out of sight, out of mind is kind of what we're thinking.
It's true.
That's the thought.
Yeah, no, that's good. And you could do the same if necessary. Like if that's her shelf, like if necessary, you can, break it down so that you have one shelf where it's like you're allowed to, when you're hungry and you need a snack and you're jonesing for something, it's like this is the only place you can go. Obviously, the optimal solution would be, we don't have it here at all, so maybe later, once your child's born, like maybe we clear it out. But for now, we got to obviously keep that in there. But that would be kind of the end goals. And this is all about, changing our environment to reduce the cost of our willpower and motivation. Because again, they're finite resources. So it's like, why do I want to have all these, like, for me, in my case, Peeps and Oreos and stuff, like, right in front of me, just tempting myself when I can just take it, not buy it, not have it in here. And then that's one less battle that I have to fight. But, all in all, like, it's nothing, like, super out of the ordinary. So we've got kind of the basics in here. I would, I was going to ask if you go to Costco, because, part of what we're talking about is, is awareness and then preparation. And Costco has a lot of, and most grocery stores too, but just since Costco, like Costco has a lot of pre-cooked, prepared kind of food that you can take, very easy to have around the house and have it work. One of my favorites is in the section over kind of by the meats near the breads. They have, first of all, pre-cooked, pre-shelled, hard-boiled eggs. So you can buy those. I mean, you've got eggs in there, but that's pre-cooked and pre-shelled. Like that's time. Yeah, and it's maybe $1 more, a couple bucks more, but that saves you. It's not about the dollars. It's about saving the energy cost of you cooking and prepping those eggs and getting them ready. That energy cost could be better spent maybe fighting off not grabbing something up here. Like that's how I want you to think. So the hard-boiled eggs, and then also they have pre-grilled or pre-cooked chicken, and it's cut up. So you can salad, sandwiches, whatever, and just have 2 bags of those in the fridge. Do you have a fridge at your office?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. So that might be a good area to stock some stuff. Like the grilled chicken, tuna if you like tuna. Like that's something good to have on hand. And I'm trying to think what else in there. I think those are kind of the key things. Just getting those in there. But just the main thing is just having that awareness. Like going in now when you go into Costco, first of all you should have a list. But second of all is like looking at what pre-cooked foods are made here, and also in small enough sizes. Because sometimes it's like, I don't need 50,000 salmon like at one sitting. But having that mindset of all right, what's already cooked or the easiest. The least time required and still, not processed food for me that I can get, because that's going to help get your food intake set up. And that's really, I think, for you right now going to be one of the biggest areas is consistently improving and refining that with your food intake.
Okay. So now when I'm on the road and I just have access to a microwave and maybe just the basic stores such as Safeway or something like that, what would you recommend that I try and do there?
So when you're on the road, if you can, Subway's not bad, as far as, again, looking at time, because then it's like go to Safeway and get, but if you are going to Safeway, well, they have the same stuff. They have the pre-cooked chicken. It's just different, smaller portions. Which will be fine. And then they have, I know they have the pre-cooked hard-boiled eggs, and then yogurt, cottage cheese. I don't know if we do oatmeal, but the protein bars, something like that. Maybe maybe have some whey. Like I like to, for traveling, because I don't want to take my protein shaker bottle traveling and have to clean it. Like I'll take a water bottle and just put protein in there.
Okay.
And that way finish it, and you can just dispose of it. So like, and you don't, and I won't even have, you know, the water in there, just have just the protein. And I think they make, and this is where Amazon's really cool and the internet's great. Like they make all kinds of travel stuff. Like I travel a lot, but it's always planned and usually for vacation or conferences. So I usually structure my travel to be during break times for me. So it's not as big. I haven't invested as much into strategies for that, but there are tons of other guys, you know, who do travel, and so this just puts you in the mindset of like, okay, how can I be prepared ahead of time for those battles when they come up, when I'm hungry and I'm not, you know, going across the street to McDonald's or whatever, you know, because it's the most convenient. Because that's really what it comes down to, you know. All right, so yeah, so that kind of gives me a good sense of kind of where you're at with the food intake. I mean, there's a lot to be done there, but again, it's important that we just take little steps because like I could have you change a whole bunch of things and you probably do it for like a week and then like life comes back in, versus if we have you change like one or two little things, then they become permanent habits and they never really unchange again. And that's what we want, because this is a war and this is a lifestyle change, is thinking about what are the, you know, smallest but biggest changes that we can make to what you're currently doing that will be sustainable for you. So the main one is I want you drinking 3 of those, 3 of your flasks throughout the day.
Sounds good.
That'll get you up to a gallon of water. And then also just when you're shopping, like we were talking about earlier, like just think about prepared or just foods that require less resistance to get ready. And in this area, there is actually, and this is a very popular kind of growing market where they have pre-cooked meal companies, like local. There's one that I use in Denver. Like I get all, and they're a bodybuilding company or whatever, but I get all my meals cooked and pre-made and everything, and they're not bad. It's like $7-8. So when you factor in your time, like I always compare it on the Chipotle dollar. Like so, $7.99 I get my Chipotle. So I know like, all right, this is worth a Chipotle meal. But just again, it's important for me just to have you thinking differently. It doesn't mean you need to go order like from these companies, but just to be aware of other options. And it's not about, with fitness, it's not about you just trying to fight through everything. Like, yeah, we got to fight sometimes, but only a very select few times, and every other time we want to be strategic and leverage, you know, our environment, our resources. And then on the recovery, right now, since you don't have a screaming baby, I'm assuming like you get decent sleep, or?
I get less sleep than I should.
Okay.
I like to do too much.
Yeah.
I like to work on my car out in the garage, work around the house, and just watch TV sometimes as well. So,
Right.
I mean, I'd probably say I average maybe about 6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
And that seems to work for me. It's probably not good for my body,
Right.
but I can still function at that level.
Right, you're still functional. Okay, and that's an area, I mean, down the road, like we'll want to try and bump that up. And also it's like, I found with sleep, it's very it's like, oh, okay, I got in bed at 10 and I got up at 5 or whatever, so I slept this amount of 7 hours, like, but sometimes that's not really true. Like you're tossing and turning, you really only slept 4 or slept whatever. So that's a battle for another day, but just to throw out that eventually we can get sleep trackers, not even Fitbits, but there's ones now that they know when you lay down to go to bed and they start tracking you from there, so you don't have, it doesn't require any input from you and measure that. But right now, where we want to focus for you is on the training and the food intake. So.
All right.
So here's kind of where I'd like you to start. Number one is, so it's 3 action items, and it's like, let's have you focus on these for the next 30 days and really get these, like, I want these to become a part of you and a part of your lifestyle and a part of your training, because they're like the foundation. We already covered, using the Spartan Strength ladder. So we want to see, I want to see you tracking your weight and seeing your weight go up as far as in your bench and your squats and what you're lifting with. The second is the gallon of water a day. That way we've got that baseline in place. And then the other thing with the food intake is, like, I know you said at one point you've counted your calories, but we want to make sure you're getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So you're like 260 now? Yeah. So, you know, maybe 250, 260 is where we want to get. So you don't have to necessarily, well, yeah, go ahead for one day, just measure out, you know, in these next 30 days, like measure out and baseline what 260 grams of protein looks like. And space it out in the meals that you talked about earlier, how you have them spaced out. But with that baseline in, that's going to help, with the training that you're now doing, help your body recover faster, but it's also proteins are thermogenic, so it helps you burn fat, and it also helps keep you, feel fuller so that you're not eating the stuff that you're not supposed to eat. So maybe I should write that down.
And then when it comes to protein choices, what do you recommend?
I mean, you've got all the good staples. So the eggs for sure. Like I try to eat eggs every day, and the Optimum Nutrition's good protein. Chicken, salmon, I mean that's enough right there, really. But if you want, you can add in tuna. But those are the high level forms, right? So you can have chicken and maybe a little bit of teriyaki sauce, or chicken and a little bit of barbecue sauce. Like you can kind of mix it up, but chicken is the baseline, and maybe it's chicken breast, maybe it's chicken leg, but that way it keeps it simple so that you're buying the same stuff over and over, just finding new ways to enhance it. How does that sound to you as far as, I mean, I know this isn't like revolutionary, but I think that's a really important thing to understand is like, it's about small gradual changes and implementing them and installing them as like the new, it's like a new OS we're installing, a new operating system we're installing in here. So what is your kind of initial feedback?
It sounds good. It sounds attainable. It's small goals that I can easily achieve, and I think it definitely helps me figure out where I need to focus.
And that really is the key, setting small attainable goals so you can continually see progress, because if you do that, your motivation is going to skyrocket and you're going to keep momentum forward, which is going to lead to you consistently going to the gym, consistently training, and consistently adding new habits. Because again, this is a lifestyle change. It's not a 90-day sudden crazy turn everything around. Instead, if you view it from the lens of I'm making small changes for the rest of your life, it's much more manageable.
Now you're not worried about 5,000 other little things, which maybe in some sense matter a little bit, but it's like these are the battles where you're losing the most troops, and you win these battles. Don't worry, I got 3 more for you, but like get these down first, and then we go on to the next ones.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Yep. Appreciate you coming by. Give me advice.
You got it. Take care.